Korea.
Thank you, Mr. President. At the outset, I also would like to thank ASG Yencha and ASG Umsuya for their informative briefings and welcome the participation of Ukraine in today's meeting. Mr. President, as the war in Ukraine stretches beyond 1,250 days, the human, moral, economic, and geopolitical costs of this aggression continues to mount. Contrary to the hopes of many who yearns to escape from this dark tunnel, Russia is intensifying its relentless attacks, now deploying hundreds of deadly drones and missiles daily. Indeed, June marked the highest monthly civilian casualty toll in 3 years, with 232 killed and 1,343 wounded. The humanitarian situation in Ukraine continues to deteriorate, and civilian suffering is deepening. We reiterate that such large-scale and indiscriminate attacks on civilians and civilian infrastructure constitute a clear violations of international humanitarian law. The Republic of Korea once again strongly calls for a full, immediate, and unconditional cessation of hostilities to prevent further civilian casualties. In this regard, we support the recent call by the United States to achieve a long overdue ceasefire within 50 days. And we urge Russia to respond to this call, one that has been echoed by nearly every other member of the international community. Now more than ever, as the casualties continue to mount and the war shows no signs of abating, the urgency for a ceasefire is undeniable. We have already witnessed the concrete benefits of such a ceasefire during another major ongoing conflict. Although the humanitarian situation in Gaza remains dire today, earlier this year, during the fleeting ceasefire in Gaza, humanitarian conditions on the ground markedly improved. Hundreds of aid trucks were able to enter Gaza, delivering much-needed food, medicine, and other humanitarian supplies to suffering Palestinians. This clearly demonstrates that an immediate halt to hostilities is not merely symbolic. It is a vital step toward alleviating civilian suffering and creating the necessary space for diplomacy. On another front, we also take note of the third round of talks recently held between Ukraine and Russia in Istanbul to seek an end to the conflict and bring about sustainable peace. We do not expect a miraculous breakthrough from just a few meetings. However, we do hope for the restoration of normalcy for the innocent civilians who have endured more than 3 years of immense hardship. They need a respite from the terrible nightly drone swarms, now numbering in the hundreds each day. We believe the realistic path to ending this war and achieving lasting peace begins with a prompt ceasefire agreement, followed by a sustained negotiations supported by confidence-building measures such as prisoner exchanges and return of fallen soldiers. These efforts must not be used to buy time for destructive or territorial ambitions, but instead must reflect the genuine political will to end this war. Mr. President, a major obstacle to achieving these goals lies in the ongoing military cooperation between Russia and the DPRK, despite repeated condemnations from the international community. This illicit collaboration has been prolonging the war in Ukraine by enabling the large-scale transfer of ammunition, artillery, and missiles from the DPRK to Russia, as well as the deployment of North Korean troops in a flagrant violation of the UN Charter and relevant Security Council resolutions. Moreover, such cooperation poses grave risks to the security of the Republic of Korea and to regional stability. Potential military assistance and technological transfer from Russia to DPRK represent a serious and growing threat to the safety of the Korean people and to broader peace in Northeast Asia. We reiterate that all forms of cooperation between Moscow and Pyongyang must fully comply with relevant Security Council resolution and international law. In closing, Mr. President, the international community can no longer afford to stand idly by while this senseless war continues. This is why we must come together, raising a united voice to demand an immediate ceasefire and pursue a just and lasting peace. We sincerely hope that those who initiate this war will heed the principled call of the international community. I thank you, Mr. President.
Thanking the representative of Republic of Korea for the statement, I now give the